Hello everyone, I'm Hugo.
And I'm Jake from far away.
And this is Ask Hugo number 16. Jake's actually, for the first time ever in a recording of anything we've ever done, Jake is not in the room with me. He is across the country in a different time zone.
This is weird.
Yeah.
This is like time travel for one of us. I don't know how
or
it works.
both of us. It's relative.
You're relative.
Anyway, today we're doing Ask...
Your mom has relatives. We're doing stuff. I don't know what number this is because you fucked it up.
Yeah, this is Ask Hugo number 16. If you guys didn't notice in the last one, I put a little disclaimer that said, hey, this was supposed to be 16, but I lost the file for number 15, so that one's just lost to time. If I answered your question in that one, that was for Jake and I's benefit mostly.
Yeah, it was just bonding time for us. Over
and that's
work.
Good. That's good for our friendship. So, this is the actual number 16 now.
Yep.
And I guess we're going to go ahead and answer some of your shitty questions. So go ahead, Jake.
Okay.
Ask away from Idaho, which is shitty.
Idaho. They don't talk like that here, but I just like to say it like that. Anywho, Aiden Crane asked Hugo, and me, I guess, Dear Hugo or Jake, no. Do you think churches/mosques/synagogues should remain tax-exempt while they enjoy the benefits of taxpayer-funded shit like police and fire protection? You are welcome for the correction. I think they should pay taxes if they want to continue to receive those services. Panzerkampfwagen 6? I don't know what that's for.
This is an interesting question, and I think we've talked about it a little bit before, but it really is depending on several factors. Firstly, you have to kind of take into account one of the reasons that tax exemption applies to churches, or two of them, I should say. Firstly, because ideally it's supposed to provide charitable services to the communities, and that's one of the reasons nonprofits can be nonprofit.
Right.
Is because they provide some service that the government now does not have to because they do so instead. Or two, they say that since church and state are supposed to be separate, the tax exemption is allowed in the case that churches do not get involved in politics. Now, I would say when you look at these two in reality, tons of churches get involved in politics very blatantly.
Yeah, especially on stuff like abortion and gay rights and stuff like that.
Absolutely, totally, especially as of late. There's actually a campaign that happens every year where pastors will send in tapes of them talking about politics to the IRS as basically a fuck you, we can do what we want, which is really messed up. And honestly, I wish the IRS would... take away their tax-exempt status, which legally is what they're supposed to do. They just don't, for whatever reason. I think that's one thing the FFRF, I believe, at one point was trying to pursue legal action against the IRS for not taking legal action against them. And secondly, as far as the charitable, I see what they're saying, because certainly churches do, at least many churches, my grandparents' church included, do charitable things for the community. However, I would say that's not the main purpose of a church in a community. At least most churches I've ever been to, their main function isn't charitable in nature necessarily, though they may do charitable acts. They're a community center basically for their members, and they're a religious center, and yeah, they do charitable things, but so do, private businesses can do charity, but they're not tax exempt because of it. But more than that, what makes churches and religious organizations interesting about their tax exemption is that it's not just a nonprofit like any other secular charity. It's a nonprofit that doesn't have to disclose what they're spending their money on.
That's the part I don't like.
Now, if you're like just starting a nonprofit charity and it's about whatever, let's say you're Doctors Without Borders, you still have to the IRS, show all the things you spent money on and your profits and everything in order to make sure, you're still tax exempt, it still applies to you. Churches, on the other hand, are a completely different story, and they don't have to, and that's what I take the most exception with. As long as churches are staying out of politics and providing mostly charitable services, I don't really mind them being tax exempt. I think it's bullshit, but, I can't imagine it's going away anytime soon. As long as they're also held accountable for when they're not behaving as a nonprofit, which I know tons of churches that do not behave as a nonprofit. They behave as a company. They behave as a profitable business. I do think they shouldn't, because I think that's against the tenets of their religion, but if they're going to do that, they need to be taxed as such.
I agree. But I don't agree with the insinuation that Aiden brings forth with the, do you think they should receive benefits of infrastructure that's funded by taxpayers like police and fire protection? Yeah, I don't want to see a fucking church burn down or people get shot and no one investigate it just because they're in a church and they're tax-free. I get what you mean, but I don't think haha, church burning down, we should just let it fucking flame up. I'm not into that.
No, church burning, not good for our business. Let's say that.
Fair enough.
Next question.
Tate Gibbs asks Hugo, Dear Hugo, what do you think of communism? And don't give me that it does not work crap, because Stalin was a fucking fascist. Tate Gibbs came out swinging on this question.
Yeah, I would have gone at this with saying Stalin was kind of a fascist and not really a communist anyway, but my opinion on it is that I don't think communism can effectively work in the world today. I think communism is ideal for a post-scarcity economy where everyone can pretty much have as much of anything as they want and everything's fine. However, in a society where resources are scarce and we depend upon labor in order to provide those things, I think things like capitalism with regulation are at this point in time kind of what we have that works best. Now, are there better systems? Absolutely. I'm not aware of them, though. I think communism is an interesting and good idea if you can provide for everyone, and everyone can have what they need.
On paper, it's...
On paper it sounds good. I just don't think in the world we live in, the reality, it's workable right now. In the future, maybe. I don't know. I'm not going to say, like, communism is evil. No, I don't think it is at all. I just don't think it's really practical for the reality of the world we live in right now.
Yeah, I think the closest we can get is kind of a socialist capitalist mix where you get the basics that people need, like healthcare and stuff like that, in America we've been trying to push, at least the left has been trying to push for kind of a while now. Social programs and shelter, food, stuff like that personally I think everyone should be entitled to it as basic level when you're considered and you tout yourself as the most powerful country in the world. So act like it and provide for your citizens. But U.S. aside, just in a blank economy with, just an imaginary situation, basically it's communism is just utopia, but we just haven't gotten there because we, like Hugo said, we have a scarceness of all things, including labor, so
I agree.
It's impractical.
Yeah, it's like Star Trek is what you're talking about as far as utopian communism, and we're way, way far off from that. And I still think a capitalist society is good at producing innovation. The thing about economic systems, though, it gets very complicated when you get into the real world and it's no longer in theory, because capitalism is great as long as it's purely capitalist and you don't have things like monopolies and duopolies and things where sort of more human things seep into the system. Once humanity gets in, it kind of fucks it up.
The issue with almost every single economic proposal or system you could make, including anything like libertarianism, which we've talked about ad nauseum on here during Ask Hugo's, or anarcho-capitalism, any of it. It needs the virtue of the people within it to be a positive force, and people suck, so we can't.
Yeah. So that's my thoughts on communism.
Also, I want to be Picard.
You can be Picard. I'll be Riker. I'm okay with that.
I was going to think you'd be Worf, but whatever.
Why? I don't want to be Worf. Do I look like that Dorn guy?
Emo? Dear Hugo, what do you do to get yourself through each day? Do you have any preferred relaxation techniques? Yeah, Hugo, do you have relaxation techniques?
My life
Do you need to relax?
Jake's lived with me, so he knows. He knows what this is. My life is one big relaxation technique. I don't do anything. But, everyone gets stressed out. I don't know.
Absolutely,
I like spending, when I can, time alone, which has been really great the past week or two because Jake hasn't been here. Jake normally lives, we were roommates, but he's been on vacation for a couple of weeks.
And for the record, we try to spend time apart, so we do have alone time because our apartment's pretty small, and it's important to have alone time, I think, for anybody.
Yeah.
But for a while there, we had a pretty full place, so.
Yeah, but now, I'm here alone right now. My girlfriend's gone, so I'm literally the only one in the apartment, and it's kind of nice. I enjoy that. Can do whatever I want, even creepy things, which is what I'm good at.
Biri Shahar asked Hugo, Hey Hugo, regarding your birth name, how many living people know it, and would you ever consider officially changing it to Hugo, which is an admittedly cool nickname? How many living people know it?
Everyone who knows me.
There's more dead ones.
Everyone who knows me in real life knows my real name. Jake does, my girlfriend does, my mom, my dad, everyone I knew from high school, everyone knows my real name. The only people
Yeah.
who don't are you guys. It's like you think
Really?
you're the normal ones. No, you guys are the weird ones.
To be fair, there's more people that know us through this than know us through real life.
Isn't that sad? That's sad.
Jake is my real name. I mean, it's not my given name. I guess Jacob would be, but no one calls me that.
Yeah. And no, I would never change my name to Hugo. I like Hugo as a nickname, but I don't want to just be Hugo. Probably. I don't know. I don't think I would.
Yeah, but if you got rid of your last name and were just Hugo,
Then I'd be like Madonna. That's good.
that's Prince.
Or I'll become a symbol like Prince. It'll just be an H. I'm not creative.
but like made out of dicks.
Sure. Who's that? It's the artist formerly known as Dick H.
Stimuli, asked Hugo. Hey, Mr. Hugo and Mr. Jake. I'm a relatively new subscriber and was wondering, if everyone in the world had to watch one video from this channel, which one would you want them to see and why? I like this because they're forced to watch one of our videos. That means we're in charge of the New World Order. Also, you're right about Quantum Leap, Hugo. The Lee Harvey Oswald episode was amazing.
Quantum Leap was really good. I know we talked about it last time, but it bears repeating. Anyway.
Bacula!
Jake, what do you think? What video would you make people watch?
I get a new favorite, like, all the time. Maybe the Penisman thing was good.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. I'd probably say if I had to pick one of our movie reviews, which would be maybe either Heaven is for Real, because I like that one, or Fireproof, which you may have already seen. It's pretty good, so always check that out.
Well, I guess we'd have to pick a Bible episode, though, wouldn't we? Like, isn't that kind of the point of the question? I assume, because the bulk of the show are the Bible episodes.
You know, the funny thing is, I went back the other day and I clicked on a random Bible episode. I did watch it. It was episode, I think, 40. It was hilarious.
40.
We used to be so funny.
We used to be so funny.
We were so full of life. We were like...
Well, let me go... I'm looking at my phone to see what episode that was, and it was How Gideon Got His Groove Back. But the one before that, Sherlock Holmes, what was it called?
A Study in Fleece.
The one before that, Ehud, Lefty versus Hefty. Oh, man.
Yeah, I know. We used to be really, really funny. What happened to us?
A few months passed.
Yeah, it'll happen.
Big Bag of Foreskins. Gay Lovers. Saul Strikes Back. These are all good. All of them are classics.
Yeah. I'm going to say number 40, though. That's going to be my pick for the Bible episode, because I recently watched it and it was very funny. We went on a whole thing of, like, two of the characters, we just randomly picked Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X to play them. And it was just funny.
I don't remember.
Yeah, because all that happened was one of them said, I had a dream, and you yell, Martin?
Oh, that is funny, and I don't know if I've ever even seen that episode because you edited it.
Yeah, bummer. So that's my answer. Either one of our movie reviews, which are honestly those are our most popular videos, or that Bible episode.
Come on, you gotta go, Penisman. I'm Harold Penisman. Penisman should read these from now on instead of Jake. Severus Snape says, "Dear Hugo, how do you feel whenever you hear a 12 to 13-year-old say they are agnostic or atheist? I myself am 14 now and became an atheist when I was 13. I have had some people say that I'm too young to be an atheist or to be thinking about those kinds of things at my age. Also, living in West Virginia doesn't help me whenever I bring up anything to do with atheism. Wrong too. Wrong too."
I think your opinion on this is as valid as any other opinion a 14-year-old has, which is, it's conditional, because you're going to change your mind a lot. I'm not saying you don't right now for the reasons you have. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying it's going to change. And I'm not saying you're not going to be an atheist, but I feel like as you examine your beliefs in the world around you, as you get older, your reasons might change, and you might get better reasons, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. When I was 14, I was a fucking idiot, and I wasn't religious. So, I mean, like, I have the same viewpoint I do now, only it's more developed. And back then, I was just ignorant.
Yeah, I think it's kind of shitty as an adult to look at someone who's 14 and say, like, objectively, like, no, your opinion is just wrong. You're going to totally grow out of it. No, because that's not true. There are adults who are, 50 years old, up to 100 years old, who have a wide variety of different opinions. Just because, they're older doesn't make... It's just an opinion. It's just an opinion, and it might change, but it might not. It doesn't matter. I think your opinion is completely valid for what it is right now. Just understand, as you get older, Might change.
Maybe not the final result.
Not the
of
headline.
atheism, but definitely the bullet points that lead to that.
Yeah, probably. But hey, be cool and stuff. I hope high school doesn't suck for you. Don't do anything douchey. Don't be a douche.
Alex Kennedy asked Hugo for the last question of this particular Asked Hugo. Unless Hugo dies, then it's the last one ever. If you were a Pokemon trainer, what Pokemon would you have? You guys like Pokemon, right? I assume he means if you could pick any Pokemon. Because if you were a Pokemon trainer, the Pokemon you would have are the ones you caught. Unless you're a Team Rocket.
If I can pick any of them, I'm gonna say Mewtwo. But Mewtwo can't be caught. Not in the anime, at least. In the game, obviously can. But I'm gonna say not Mewtwo because I'm not that skilled as a trainer. So instead, I will say Squirtle. I like Squirtles, and I like all their evolutions. So I'm gonna say Squirtle.
That's like not a very useful one though.
Does it have to be?
Like, wouldn't you get one that you can be you can only have one apparently?
Yeah.
So that's the one.
What's more useful than a Squirtle?
It's a shitty. It's just a turtle that shoots water out its back,
Which is awesome. I'm not gonna battle with
it's
it.
just like
It's just gonna be my
forward-facing
friend.
blowholes. It's not even like. That's barely a Pokemon. That's just a weird turtle.
You could say that about pretty much every Pokemon. That's not a
No.
Pokemon. That's a weird lizard.
What about a Porygon? That thing's digital.
I-
He shoots. He looks like a tiny origami duck.
That's just
but
a
he
weird
kills shit with a
origami duck.
tri-beam. Yeah.
Anyway, I'm gonna say Squirtle. What about you?
Gonna go with Genghis Khan because nobody ever uses it, and it has a pouch that I could sit in, and it could trot me around.
I don't even remember which one that was. Is it the one that
You
looks
get it
like
in
an
Safari Zone. It's the one that has a kid.
armored kangaroo?
Sort of.
Yeah, I remember
Sort
it
of
now.
like an armored kangaroo.
Okay, that's a fair choice. I don't like the Safari Zone, though.
That's stupid. You get Scyther there.
I've never been able to catch a Pokemon in the Safari Zone. I don't understand how it works.
Bait, rock, Safari Ball.
But, like, the different ones take different amounts of bait and rocks.
Yeah.
So
So you do understand how it works. You just said the answer.
I know.
It's a kid's game. It's not fucking rocket scientist.
I've been trying to catch
stuff.
Pokemon in the Safari Zone for 20 years, and I'm
Oh, you could just throw a fucking Safari Ball and you'll catch one every once in a while.
I have not. The odds have not been in my favor
Oh
for
my God.
decades.
You're so poor at Pokemon games.
Anyway, that's enough for that question. So thanks everyone for watching.
Yeah.
You can always ask me questions in the comments.
You should.
You should, because I need them for next time, and that's how this show works. You can always follow me on Twitter at Hugo Reloaded.
You can follow me at Bible Reloaded.
You can always go ahead and donate to our Patreon. Look at that. Ooh, Patreon. Ooh, Patreon.
Orange. You could subscribe, but again, we say this almost every time now, but I don't know why the fuck you're here if you're not subscribed. Like, why would you give a shit?
I saw
We found one person. What were you gonna say? That
I saw someone the other day who the only videos of ours they watch are the Ask Hugos, the Jake Reads Your Comments, and the movies, which is always interesting to me. I don't know how they get enough of
How
our...
can you avoid the good stuff?
I know, the chick tracks are so good. I can understand not wanting the Bible ones, because the Bible is... I get why you'd be averse. It's just kind of boring, other than the commentary
Well,
we
the
bring to it.
Bible's boring, but we're not boring.
Yeah, but I get it.
I get it too. It seems daunting when you have like 70 videos of Bible study
Yeah.
and you're like, I don't know.
It's not really that sequential. You could watch it out of order. No one gives a fuck.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, until next time, I'm Hugo,
And I'm Jake.
and this has been Ask Hugo number 16.
Double Ocho? That's two Ochos.